Good afternoon. It is March 12th, 2026, and today we had a downtrend day. So I don't believe we really have had a convincing break of this downtrend. Even, right here, you could argue this is, um, and it might be, but it's just, I think this downtrend is still in play. It's just not, that's not a convincing break to me. You could even argue that the trend line goes you could draw the upper trend line like that, so I don't think this is very convincing. You could draw it like that. Let's see. Yeah, when I copy and paste, it doesn't draw it the same way. So let's see if yeah, okay. So this is probably it. So I have it drawn like that, but it could very well be this. And so I'm reevaluating and I feel like I should treat it this way. And I wish I did that earlier. That would have been very helpful. But, after yesterday, we bought into resistance and right after the market reopened, sold off and got this measured move. And so you hit the measured move and the bottom of the trend line. So I was pretty confident that we would bounce. So if you see all that, it's a good place to go long. But anyway, I'm going to analyze the 6500 tick chart because there was a lot of volume today. And here's how I have it drawn. Uh, Today's price action on the 6500 tick chart, excuse me. So it is a down day. It was choppy most of the day, but you can see on the daily chart that we closed very close to our low. Um, it does look like the close was above the open from the other day. Let's see. Open 60 or 685.50. Oh wow, so slightly below. So you could argue that that's a sign of strength for the Bears. Haven't quite hit this measured move, but that could be. It doesn't look like the computers are looking at that. Looks like they are more concerned with this price level, which is about six. Let's just call it 66.30. Yeah. So I'll probably keep that there just in case we get a bounce off that tomorrow or we test that level. Uh, so anyway, so unfortunately on this chart, there isn't really a good place to go long. Uh, I think this bull bar is too early. I do kind of like this one, but this is all last night anyway. So let me just zoom forward to about 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock, you run into some resistance up here. At first this was looking like we were going to get a second leg up, and then you get two dojis. So uh, not looking good after that. You might want to enter on a limit order short now when you get this stem on top. I like that for a limit order, and that turns out to be a very good move. You get a little spike and channel down, you get a break, second entry short. Uh, if you're feeling bearish, I think this is a reasonable place to go short. I'd probably be a little worried after the doji, but turns out to be a decent move. You get this, I mean, kind of looks like a double bottom. So much room back to the EMA. Very little risk. I think this is worth considering. Only problem is we just had two strong bear bars and you made a new low, but you're buying low. Come back to the EMA, sell off again. Three strong bear bars in a row. Then you get this one with the doji, and then you get another doji. So again, you might consider going long there when it stalls. Uh, this looks pretty good for a long, but I'm seeing that this is the first gap above the EMA, so maybe you wait for another pullback, and that would bring you to here. When we start going sideways, maybe you buy on the limit order. But look, I mean, we're obviously making lower highs and lower lows, so you're essentially going counter trend, not in a strong bear trend. This is a broad bear channel, but if you don't want to go counter trend, then don't take this. And it does rocket up to resistance. You get a doji. I think you can consider entering on a limit order here. It drops. Excuse me. We go sideways before getting a few legs down here, and we go sideways, and then we form some higher lows. You get a bounce right here. It goes higher. And we're really flip-flopping, man. This was not, for me, this was a difficult day. It was like a trending trading range day. So uh, we had consistent resistance up here, but the support was kind of, up and down. Um, you could, if you see this is off the trend line, and uh, after dragging it from the lows, the trend line from the lows, and putting it up to the highs, you could bet that this is a failed breakout, and it turns out to be pretty good. But we make another higher low, run into resistance here, come back down, bounce, bounce, come up here. Maybe you enter on limit order short up here. You could enter on limit order long down here. But it's just so choppy, so much overlap today. And I like this one. This higher low here, it looked like, we were ranging. It looked like we were near the lows, so I like this one. Fails shortly after. So you're in a downtrend. You got to be careful about going long. But that's how I saw it today. Hope everyone had a good day. I'll be back tomorrow.